Is it on? Okay, we'll open the Q&A now. Does anyone have any questions for the cast, the musicians? Yeah, in the back.
Like each of us individually? I started taking dance lessons when I was 4. Till now. Yeah, only 24 years.
I've been tap dancing for about 18 years.
I was trying to do math in my head.
28 years? Is that how old I am?
Sure. I'm not gonna do math. I've been dancing since I was 5.
28 years.
14.
Any other questions?
Do you have EMS on standby in the back?
No.
Lots of phone rooming tonight.
How much work went into, like time-wise, went into building the show and practicing all of the different dances? For both the dancers and musicians.
Well, I'll let Acoustik Element speak to their part of it. When we started working on it, the music already existed. So for the first part of our rehearsal process, we were working with tracks, so we didn't always have them in rehearsal with us. That they didn't start coming into rehearsal till toward the end of the rehearsal process. But they gave us all of their music, like all of it, and said, pick the songs you like the best, change them, do whatever you want with it. We'll play it however you want us to play it. Which, I mean, I've said this before leading up to the show, it is a huge honor to have someone give you their body of work and then just say, do whatever you want with it, change it however you want. And we had never worked with them before. I had met Aaron one time. So, and we credit Al Canal here at the Wildey for putting us together because he's the reason we're sitting here right now. So, Al, if you're in here, thank you. The very handsome gentleman in the hat back there. But to answer your question, so we started actually working through the choreography and figuring out what tunes we wanted to use probably late April, early May. And we rehearsed once a week, sometimes twice a week, every week since then, up to now.
So we've been performing this music for probably since about 2007, I would say, as a group. So the arrangements have been there for us for a while. What was the tricky part about everything was typically when Acoustik Element performs, we don't perform the songs the same way. And when I had handed off the music, I didn't realize how in-depth they were going to take this. And it got to the point where they were dancing to my guitar lines. So originally I was thinking, it's going to be a breeze, it's going to be a piece of cake for us to come in here and we'll just play our normal music. We had to go back and relearn what we recorded on a CD, which is improvised, 4 years ago. And so, but it was a challenge we accepted, and I hope that answers your question.
The two phrases I came up for that is every measure is accounted for and there is no escape. Thank you, Maria.
For those of you that maybe up top couldn't hear Hera say, if I may put words in your mouth, she just was talking about how amazing Come Together was and how well the dancing went with the music. I think that that's something that we're really passionate about when we're choreographing. There is a good amount of improvisation in the show. All of the solos that you saw were improvised, completely improvised, whether that was in the middle of a piece or Megan's solo or my solo, we improvised those. And the musicians are certainly also doing some improvisation as well. When we're choreographing, often tap dances can be thought of as noise and noisy and just loud. And so it's important that when we're choreographing, we're really using the music that's already there and we're accompanying it in a way that just adds to it and adds another level instead of just dancing over the top of it and just adding noise to music that already sounds amazing. Why add taps then? So we try to be really respectful of that. Yes? So much. This is my daughter, Tegan. She's our understudy in training. Yes, sir.
Why do you like to dance?
That's a really, why don't we go down the line with that one? I really like to dance because I think that I can say things with dance and movement that I maybe can't say with words. It's easier, I think, to express ourselves sometimes just through dance and through movement and instead of talking. And have you ever had a dance party before? You just put on music and just go crazy? Just do whatever you want? No? You should try it. It's really, really fun. That's what we're doing up here. We're just having a dance party together.
The reason I like to dance is a little bit of a piggyback off of that, but specifically to tap dance, there's always something happening up in my brain. Usually I'm scatting in my brain or I'm like singing a little rhythm or whatever. So tap dancing is a nice outlet to let that come through, whether I'm like verbally scatting it or I'm putting it through my feet. So it's a nice way for me to sing a little something.
Yeah, I think to piggyback off that, it's a way to put these rhythms to something. My family will tell you I tippy tap with my fingers on everything all the time. It drives everyone. Yes, she does. So it's a way to kind of put that to use. Also, dance for me is something that it evokes a response, whether it's physical or emotional or mental. You get something and I get something. We get to share something, so that's why I like it.
I like to dance because I need to dance. I have to dance. It's the way that I feel I can express the most joy and spirit and life and vitality and wow, my brain just I had a really good answer, I promise. But yeah, I dance because I have to dance. It brings me joy and I like bringing others joy. So as a kid, I had a really hard time sitting still. Correct, Mom? Okay. And so I was always moving, always dancing. I was the youngest of 4, so I had to make my presence known, right? And then it just became a knack, right? I enjoyed it, I loved it. I had great mentors over here, Maria, and so you kind of find that love and you just keep doing it, and each day you get a little better and find a new way to think about it.
I love music more than anything in the world, and I like finding new ways to make music. So for me, tap is just another outlet to express myself musically, and it makes me happy. So.
Why do you guys like music?
D, all the above.
Question for the drummer, was there a significance behind all the hat changes? Those were his costume changes. Did you like that? Yes. He showed us that backstage. He was color coordinating his hats to match our outfits.
I was just going to say I pretty much like music for all the same reasons everybody else would pick one, and it gets me out of the house.
Thank you so much. That was really beautiful.
Thank
Can you go over, you mentioned that I think a passion of yours or goal is education.
Yes.
Can you go over your goal
all of those things. So the company started just as mostly tap, just as a small group of 4 tap dancers, and the nonprofit sort of grew from there. So the original goal was just to create performance opportunities for ourselves and to collaborate with other musicians in the St. Louis area. There's a ton of dance and there's a ton of music, but you don't always see those collaborations happening. So that was really the main goal. And then the more we started to perform around the area, the more people started to come up to us and say, well, do you have any classes? Do you have any workshops? Where can we get more from you guys? We really would like to learn more. And so during the shutdown in 2020, I had more time to kind of sit with that and really develop the scope of the nonprofit, which is, there's really 3 arms to that. So there's our community engagement program, and the goal with that program is to really just present free events. So they're free, they're for all ages. Right now we do a monthly jam session that is open to dancers of any discipline. We often have tap dancers come, but dancers of any discipline can come. Musicians with any instrument can come. It's really just meant to be a community engagement event for us to all get together and enjoy music together, meet new people. Then there is the education program, which I think really now is our biggest program. We don't currently have our own space. So that would be the goal. That's the goal that we're working on right now, is for us to have our own space so that we can offer a whole bunch more programming. I envision having a music program and a dance program. It would be really amazing. We have a pre-professional student program right now. Some of them are in the audience. Raise your hands if you're a pre-pro kid. Yeah. Brownie points. So it's for young tap dancers to learn more about the art of tap dancing and get more than what they're getting at their respective studios or where they study. But I also would really like to have a pre-professional jazz music program, so that we also have a youth jazz ensemble that performs with our youth tap ensemble, so that those students are coming up already learning how to work with musicians and thinking musically, because dancers and musicians don't often think alike. In terms of musical phrasing. Anybody who's like who's a dancer who's worked with a live musician knows that there's a little bit of a communication barrier there. So it's great to be able to have that experience before you go out into the professional world. And then with our outreach programs, we present workshops and education programs really all over the area, local dance studios. I'm currently in very early collaborations with some other nonprofits in the area who are doing some really incredible things, and we're trying to bring introductory rhythm courses and tap courses to people who are young folks who are learning how to express themselves in healthy ways, and we're bringing art to them to help teach them how to express themselves through art, through creativity. And then, yes, we're actually currently having conversations right now about getting more programs in the universities in the area. And then our professional companies, which this is our professional dance company, and then our professional music ensemble is mostly jazz. And they'll be playing with us April 15th and 16th at Missouri Baptist University. That'll be our next big performance. We're bringing back In Due Time one last time. So I hope that answers your question. It's a lot that we do really for such a young organization.
And I just wanted to tell you, your solo performance was dynamite.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Career.
I like to think I'm building my career with tap dance.
Maybe like reconnecting with a career. I didn't think that I would ever get back to performing again. I was doing a lot of teaching and kind of just like making sure I was alive. So maybe like return to a career.
I'd say I'm building my career. Teaching is my first passion, and then I do business stuff, but tap is where it's at, in any shape or form. I'm trying to be a professional musician, so it's kind of like a side hustle for me. I play the oboe.
Yes. Are both groups out of St. Louis? Is there a website for the dance
Element and STL Rhythm Collaborative have a bunch of things coming up, even just in the rest of 2022. So be sure to check your program. There's a lot of information there.
You guys are amazing dancers.
Thank you.
You're musicians, so thank you for doing this show today. But I wanted to know if any of you, obviously you're wonderful tap dancers, do any of you study any other disciplines of dance or any other forms of dance like that?
I have not studied Latin. I grew up studying tap, ballet, jazz, lyrical. I have many, many years of ballet and jazz training, which I think helps with our balance and stamina on stage. Yeah.
I study all disciplines of dance. I grew up doing all kinds, and then I went to college for modern dance and contemporary dance. But tap dance has, the base of my heart, so I do it the most. But I like to think I'm a well-rounded dancer.
Same. I went to college, went to Webster, and got my BFA, my modern emphasis. But I also toured China doing hip hop for a while. So wherever the opportunities come.
I grew up studying multiple disciplines of dance, but as I got older, they all kind of trickled away, and tap dance stayed strong. So tap dance all the way. Tap, jazz, ballet, point, modern. I went to college to dance.
I started studying everything, and slowly everything trickled away until it was just tap, and now I just consider it an extension of my music career.
Yes.
I know that there's likely multiple places that all of you study, but I was just wondering where each of you studied primarily outside of university.
I grew up studying at Performing Arts Center in St. Charles. After I graduated high school, I moved to New York, and I started touring with Manhattan Tap, directed by Heather Cornell. So that was my early professional training, and I think that was the most, made the most impression on me, and I still pull from that experience quite often in terms of how we do things in the company and just how we present our work. And then when I got back, I started teaching a lot. Teaching helps me sort of process what I'm learning and what I'm working on. So I was in New York for about 1.5 years, and it probably took me 2 or 3 years of teaching to sort of process everything I got during that time that I was there and share it with my students. And I've been teaching and dancing and trying to find the opportunities and create the opportunities ever since.
I grew up training at the Professional Dance Center, which is in South County, St. Louis. I grew up doing all kinds of styles of dance there. And then I attended Lindenwood University for contemporary dance. As far as tap dancing goes, I've traveled a lot and went to lots of festivals. I'd like to credit the School of Jacob's Pillow, which applications have opened pre-pro kids for the tap program this summer. Just wink, wink, But that's a great program. And then I would also like to credit this one right here. I've been learning from her for about, it's close to 5 years now. And I've learned so much from you. And I have a lot to credit on my abilities from you.
It's correct. Megan and I, I also went to Professional Dance Center in St. Louis. They all the styles, all the things. A lot of musical theater actually in my background. I did a lot of community theater, professional theater growing up. Competitions, conventions, workshops, intensives, festivals. Went to Webster, like I said, that's where I got my dance degree. And this one here now for the past 1.5 years.
I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan, so I started dancing, I started dancing at a little studio called Casale Dance Studio, and then 9-10 years ago when my family moved here, I started dancing at Center of Creative Arts in University City, tap specifically with this lovely lady, in my childhood too, I was doing a lot of musical theater and community theater, and then moved to St. Louis, really honed the dancing and the tap dancing, and then over the past year or so, I started working with Maria. I grew up in a small town and kind of trained at that studio called Joe's School of Dance. And then when I was 14, my parents were like, yeah, we'll commute you into St. Louis. So we would drive in specifically to train with Maria. So I've known her since I was 14 years old and kind of followed her to Coca and Technique Studios, and then went to college and did like summer festivals, Tradition and Tap in New York, LA Tap Festival, St. Louis Tap Festival, things of that sort.
I grew up dancing at Performing Arts Center, like Maria. I think I've been working with her for like 10 years now, probably. So I'm a student of Maria's, who has graduated since then, and now I'm studying music performance at Lindenwood University. Yeah.
Yes?
I just wondered how the band got together, and did they have, do you have any, with music, did you go to school for music, and how'd you guys get together and come about?
Yeah, interesting story. Paul and I have known each other since we were 3 years old. Our parents lived across the street from each other. And then, so we didn't really start playing music until probably our 20s, because he had moved away. And then so when we got back together, I was like, oh, you play guitar? I play guitar as well. And so we started a rock and roll group back then, but it always had like a Latin twist. And then we started the Acoustik Element project probably in '03. And then I met, Brian and Tim. There's a very good network of musicians in St. Louis, and just everyone kind of just, there's a gentleman named Farshid that's a Latin guitar player that kind of hooked us all up. And then with the music, I didn't hear the second part of the question, but what was the second?
Did you study music?
Oh, yeah, studied a lot of music. Not in any universities, but privately. There's a lot of, spent many hours studying under people, as did Paul. Paul and I studied under the same guitarist. Brian actually has a jazz performance degree from college, and Tim's been playing for many years as well. I also wanted to mention, unfortunately, you can't take the ladies home with you, but if you do like the music, we do have the CDs of pretty much what we were playing. I have a stack of them back here. I forgot to put them out because it's just many things on your mind. So if anyone is interested, you could take at least the music part home with you as well. So.
Have you ever considered horns, a horn section?
We've done horns before, yes.
It would be a nice blend.
Yeah, for the Latin music, yeah, when we play the bigger things, yes, horns for sure, yes. We have done in the past. Yeah, this program, we didn't feel it was necessary, but
You can also find them on Spotify.
somewhat, we kind of got to redo it.
Yeah.
I'm a musician.
Check them out at Joe's Cafe.
Yeah, Joe's Cafe. They play regularly, don't you? Once a month they play, and they have themed shows that they do, and it's a really cool spot. Definitely check them out at Joe's Cafe. Kara? Hotel California.
Yeah, I gotta say, that's probably the coolest thing I've seen maybe ever. Especially
Oh.
the last number. Like, how did you go about choreographing that?
That's Megan, so.
Thank you, my fans. In the back. So for the last number, as far as picking the music out, we kind of had a list of tunes to pick from, and immediately I listened to all of them, and I listened to all of them again, and then I went through again, and every single time the tune Black Magic Woman just kind of like stuck with me. I saw a lot of opportunity to play with like the trading between the drummer and myself, the flat line we did with a little bit of stop time thrown in there. So I just heard it. I knew immediately that like that was the tune I wanted to choreograph to. And then my next challenge was like learn the notes, be able to scat it. Like I want to know the tune like the back of my hand. And then kind of the choreography came from that. That's at least how my process works. I like to be able to scat the whole ending section. It's kind of note for note to what Aaron was playing in the band. So that's kind of how I go about my choreography musically, but visual, there's a visual aspect to it as well, and how it moves through space and things like that. So there's so many layers to think about, but for me that tune was, I really wanted to hone in on the musicality of it.
Typically, I think tempos, I'm starting most of the songs. And we only had maybe a couple rehearsals for this, really musically. And I realized that it needs to be on point. Like, when we perform these songs in other places, it's just, you're kind of reading the crowd. And so sometimes you might play them a little bit more relaxed, sometimes you play them upbeat. With the tap, they needed it upbeat, on point, for the most part. Brisk was the term that I was told sometimes. So I had it on all my notes, brisk. Play this one brisk, 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 which means kind of upbeat. So,
The tracks are pretty quick, so we were accustomed to
yeah.
really fast tempos.
Yeah, so behind the scenes was, we had recorded these songs years ago, and then when me and Maria were talking, we said, well, here's the CDs, you pick what you want, and that way that you could practice to them as well. And then, but I was kind of unaware of how far they were going to take it. They again, so like Tim was saying, every measure's counted for, so I can't extend a solo or I can't shorten a solo. It has to be an 8-bar if it was 8-bar on the CD. And it even got to the point where there's some points where I had to play the exact phrase because they're dancing to exactly what I was playing. The same with the drum beat. There was the Black Magic Woman piece that you were talking about. That was the big one. And in the studio there, we actually brought in a Brazilian drummer in the middle of this, and we cut out a section of what Brian played, and we inserted this other drummer, and he did all these batucadas and all these Brazilian rhythms. And it turned out that we had to relearn it. And we did not know that we were going to have to relearn it without that drummer. So props to Brian May back here for learning all that Brazilian stuff. And again, it had to be exactly how it was on the CD. He plays the drum beat solo for 4 measures. Then we're tap dancing for 4, and then it goes 2, 2, 1, 1, and we're all
counting for each other.
Yeah, it was.
Counting behind my back.
Yes.
Yes.
So how many dancers are in your dance company, and do you have any guys? And do you all ever expect to perform again together? And then kudos to musicians. Jesus Cantata would be very proud of you.
Wow.
You did that.
Yes, they're amazing. Amazing. Okay, so question number 1. How many dancers? So right now there are 6 of us. We have 4 performing members in the company and 2 understudies sitting up here with me. We have had guys. This is the whole company right here. We have had guys in the company. Tommy Wasuda. Let me hear it for Tommy Wasuda. Everybody loves Tommy. He's currently in New York, dancing his feet off. He's from the St. Louis area, and he's grown up dancing with most of us. He was a student of mine as well, and he's always wanted to pursue his career in New York, and ever since he got there, he's been working nonstop with all of the folks that we put up here on this pedestal. He's working with the best of the best. He will actually be back with us when we perform In Due Time in April. So he still comes back as a guest performer. He's just not here in St. Louis to dance with us right now. It's kind of a bit of a revolving cast. Because we're a small company, we don't really have auditions yet. That is the goal. I'd like to have a full apprentice program and a full performance program. So we're working toward that. But right now it's sort of, by invitation, and of course it's a huge time commitment, and again it's pretty voluntary. So I mean, you have to be willing to sort of shuffle around all the things in your life to make time for this and take it really seriously. So and then yes. So this is the only time we're doing this show this year, but we do want to do it again. I am in the process of putting together a season for Mostly Tap for next year, and this is one of the shows that I certainly want in that season. So it definitely is going to happen again. It's not just a one and done. We love it too much. Yeah. Did I answer all of your questions? Okay, thank you. Somebody else had their hand up back.
Got one up here, Maria, in the
Thank you. Yes?
What's your favorite kind of music to dance to?
Tap dance or just dance?
Tap dance.
Jazz.
Anything that swings. Anything that swings.
I actually like to think that I manifested this show because this question was asked after we did In Due Time in October last year. It wasn't the February one, I don't think. Somebody asked what we were going to do next or what we would like to do next, and I said something acoustic, and voila. So acoustic is my go-to.
I'd say anything with a good beat or anything that has opportunities for musicality.
Everything?
All of it.
I know you said that this is a huge time commitment for you, and I know you guys are volunteers, so like, how much of a time commitment was that? How long did it take you to put this show together?
So generally we rehearse one afternoon a week, sometimes twice a week, and we perform quite a bit on the weekends also. So, and a lot of our performances that we do, our community performances, we base whether or not we can do those performances based on how many dancers are available, because sometimes not always the whole cast is available, or folks are just looking for one or two dancers. But it's a lot of practicing outside of rehearsal. So when we're building a show, we're inside rehearsal working together to create this body of work. But then when you come back to the next rehearsal, you need to be ready to continue on with what you did last week. You can't just come in and spend the first 2 hours of rehearsal. Okay, well, what was that? What did we do? How did we? So there's a lot of discipline in between those rehearsal times when we're together to sit with the music and sit with the work yourself. So we all feel a personal responsibility to do that out of respect for each other, so that when we come back to the next rehearsal, we're coming in ready to go, ready to move on, fresh. But I mean, that takes a lot of time. You know, we have husbands and children and full-time jobs and very big dogs. So, you know, everybody that's sitting up here has you know, full-time adult responsibilities, and so it is a huge time commitment, and I think that speaks to everybody's passion and how much they love it up here, that they're willing to give as much as they do. Okay, well, thank you.